Hello, everyone. Thank you for attuning your brain tentacles to this eyeball video. We have been receiving so many story submissions as of late that we have no choice but to streamline our process in order to make sure that we get around to sharing everybody's adventures. Firstly, if you have a story that fits the topic of this video, please feel free to share it in the comments here on YouTube. If you have an amazing story that isn't on theme with the video, please share it to the new Mr. Ripper subreddit, r/Mr. Ripper, and we'll do our best to get around to everyone as long as your shit ain't whack. That's all I got for you, sweet little pumpkins. Now tell me, which of your sure, why nots had the biggest unintended repercussions? Number 4, YouTube edition. 1. The DM's cat would often interrupt our sessions by messing with the minifigures on the map, and was far more likely to do so if her name was spoken. One time, after getting Lilu off the table, we lost track of where the characters were before she had messed them up, and the DM ruled that a tabaxi goddess got bored and teleported everyone in the world, and we kept playing. I eventually made a rule sheet for a new goddess named Lilu the Unspeakable. If you said her name, one of 100 strange effects would befall you, determined by the percentile die. It could be beneficial, detrimental, or just silly. I'm just waiting until someone says the name of Lilu and turns into Asmodeus, goes insane from a hallucinatory nightmare, is sent directly into Nessus, bursts into laughter for no apparent reason, has their ability scores shuffled around, gets abducted by a dragon named Jeff, or something equally ridiculous. Once again, as Mimi the Mimic, we were stuck in what was essentially a murder mansion by some crazed noble lady who was practicing the dark arts in the basement. Basically think if Elizabeth Bathory and H.H. Holmes had a baby girl. Lots of murdering young virgins and servants they got shipped in, turning them into undead and summoning things with body parts and horrible experiments for giggles, that kind of thing. Anyways, super booby-trapped death mansion. We got stuck in a room that was now filling with poison gas. Here's the thing. My GM let Mimi have her natural immunities as a monster, mostly because she had some major downfalls for being a mimic but still a player character. I looked at the GM and asked, I'm immune to poison, right? GM, yes. Me. So this gas isn't harming me, but my team is dying, right? GM, yes. Me. Okay, can I, eat the door? GM, holding in laughter. You want to eat the door. Why? Me. Because then the gas leaves. So can I eat it? GM, now full on laughing. Yeah, haha, sure, roll for it. Me, I got 15. GM, you, being bored with your teammates, gagging on the floor, slowly go to the door sealing the room. You take a huge bite out of it and rip it off its hinges, and the gas flows out of the room. I saved the party by eating a door. My GM couldn't quit laughing at the whole stupid brilliance of it. I was DMing, and my family is the party. Normal group couldn't meet due to quarantine, and they wanted to get into it. My sister is the wizard, and one of her spells is Shocking Grasp. She asked if basic physics were in play, and I said sure, why not? Well, she went to the local blacksmith and requested a long braided cable of flexible copper. 5 gold pieces pulled out of nowhere. Well, the next encounter was with a bugbear, and she had the rogue sneak behind it and attach the strand to the creature. With really good stealth rolls, he succeeded and got out of the way. My sister fried that bugbear, causing it to fall into the campfire. Then the rogue finished it off with a sneak attack. I extremely underestimated my younger sister and her craziness. Never underestimate your younger sister. You'll be shocked. Haha, get it? Because it's electricity. Haha, we're keeping that in. In one of my first campaigns, my friend accidentally angered goblins that charged us in the woods. I immediately made a religion check as a joke to make them good Christian boys. I succeeded, and I expected that to make them spare us in good nature, but my DM was more determined for this fight than I imagined. He proclaimed, they drop to their knees and mutter for forgiveness for what they are about to do. I was very confused, as was everyone else. They had proclaimed a holy war. This one's a little wordy, but good. In my homebrewed campaign setting, there's a goddess of fire, known for their honesty, called the Flame of Truth by their followers. When one of my players decided to play a paladin of theirs, I was thrilled. The glaive was her favored weapon. So naturally, when they found a cursed glaive, that paladin went almost immediately to have it fixed and blessed, causing it to gain a unique blue variant of fire enchantment. I hinted it might have other properties, and my player, very in character, eventually tried to use it as a lie detector, mostly out of curiosity. Sure, I thought. That fits the lore, so why not? So the flames of the enchantment lash out to burn the wielder slightly if they lie with malevolent intent while holding it. See, the problem here is that I'm a moron. There are multiple story threads involving betrayal in this game, and now they keep idly asking suspicious NPCs to hold their weapon for just a moment while someone else asks important questions. Every mystery is instantly solvable. I had to conveniently write multiple suspects out of town at one point just to avoid them spoiling the big reveal a month and a half too soon. My first time playing the game. We were running Lost Mines at the time. I was the party wizard, and we were fighting some red brands outside one of their hideouts. The barbarian and monk are off to my left, fighting 2 of the red brands. The druid and bard off to my right, fighting another 2 red brands. The rogue is inside the hideout, robbing the place blind. The leader of this particular group is just out in front of the door, yelling orders at his mooks, and I'm in the middle, staring down this one archer armed with a crossbow. This crossbow red brand takes aim at me and fires, and misses by 1 on his attack roll. The DM fluffs it as, "You feel a whoosh of air above your head, and turn around to see your hat on the ground, about 10 feet behind you." Since it was a total fluff piece, DM granted me 1 free use of Mage Hand as a bonus action to retrieve the hat. I had other ideas. My turn comes up, and I cast my Mage Hand. Instead of spawning it at my hat, however, I spawn it next to the party barbarian, who is busy fighting another one of the red brands. Now, he had chopped off the head of Clarg during the earlier encounter and had been carrying it around for a few days as something of a trophy. I tell the DM my mage hand reaches into Barbarian's pack and pulls out the Clarg head and places it on my head. DM, sure, why not? It's probably shrunk a bit, so it weighs less than 10 pounds. I'm gonna make you roll a con save, though, since you're physically touching a rotting head. Despite having a flat 10 in con, I pass my saving throw. I now have a new hat. Now, for phase 2 of my plan, right on the spot, I have decided that my character really doesn't like it when someone knocks his hat off or steals it. So I start walking towards the red brand that shot my hat off, totally fixated on him. I managed to work it into rolling an intimidation check by screaming at the red brand in Draconic whilst wearing the rotting head of a bugbear, which my wizard knows. The red brand succeeds on an insight check since my charisma isn't the highest in the world. I huck a firebolt cantrip, missed, and end my turn about 15 feet closer to the red brand. The archer, not intimidated in the slightest, takes aim and fires, once again missing. DM tells me the bolt sticks into Clarg's head, so I decide to double down. On the right-hand side, the druid, who had transformed into a wolf, rolls a nat 20 on an attack against a red brand and tears his head off. On my next turn, I walk up to the druid, see the head on the ground, and pick it up, sticking it onto the bolt that is sticking out of Clarg's head. Pass another con save, but fail an intimidation check once again. So once again, I shoot a firebolt. This time it hit, thankfully, and end my turn. Once again, the archer misses. So now I have yet another bolt sticking onto my stack of heads, as the DM realized I was just going to keep adding heads to my collection until I either fail a con save and start puking, or the fight ends. By this point, I am within 30 feet of the red brand. On my next turn, I decide to make my move. You shot my hat! Now, become the hat! This time, thanks to some bardic inspiration, the intimidation check succeeds, and the red brand is scared shitless. I run right at him, lower my head, and try to spear this hapless red brand with my stack of heads, which the DM rules as making an unarmed melee attack. I roll, and nat 20. DM decides that since I rolled the nat 20 and that there was a crossbow bolt sticking out of the top of the head, I can roll a d4 for damage. I end up rolling a 4, which gets doubled by the crit, which was enough to kill the weakened and scared red brand. DM says the bolt slices the red brand's neck open, and at the end of the attack, that red brand's head is now sticking on top of the stack. By this point, combat is over. I turn around, and everyone is looking at me like I have 3 heads. Heh. The DM straight tells me, I'll give you a freebie for this because you're a noob, but do you realize that if you pull shit like that again, I am instantly going to change your alignment to chaotic evil? My character was pretty much shunned through the rest of the town, and it wasn't until he used frost magic to extinguish a fire ravaging the town, set off by Glassstaff, that he began to become barely tolerated by the townspeople. I eventually retired that character and rolled a paladin, partially because the wizard character had gained a bit of a bad reputation for obvious reasons, and partially because I was tired of being completely useless in low-level combat. I wouldn't be surprised if he turns up later as a boss encounter. So, I've talked about Bastion before, and I'm not a DM, but the story is good anyway. For starters, Bastion is a gender-confused warforged that likes skinning things alive and stealing their bones. So, obviously, they was pretty excited upon their first fight with skeletons. Perhaps a bit too excited. When the party entered the room, Bastion started defiling some crypts and overturning coffins. Then they saw one of the skeletons. Make note that Bastion was disguised as one of the bandits that controlled the place, and started prodding one. Shortly after some failed investigation checks showed no signs of sentience, our tiefling tried to progress, and got ambushed by the skeletons. The battle progressed as normal until it was one full hit point skeleton left. Up until now, none of the skeletons had attacked Bastion, so after a small amount of discussion, I rolled an intelligence check. Crit failed. I can't crit an ability check. And Bastion made the assumption that the skeletons were in love with him. I asked to roll seduction. After a night of particularly bad rolls, my DM pretty much said, sure, why not, nat 20. After several more amazing rolls and 15 sessions, Bastion got into a committed relationship with a skeleton. Hello, my sweet little shortbread cookies of infinite cosmic bliss. Thank you for keeping your prehensile glistening brain tentacles firmly rooted to this video, and for doing so all the way to the end. May the stories we share spark curiosity and questions that can only be resolved by means of potent and enjoyable experiences with people you care about. If you're new here, say hello in the comments. If you're not, how do you like your coffee? And why? Speaking of, feel free to check out our D&D friends over at Adventurers Coffee Company for a bag of delicious, artisanal, hipster as fuck, small batch, single origin, hot fucking Joseph. If you use the coupon code Mr. Ripper, you'll get 10% off your purchase. It helps them out, helps us out, and helps you too, unless you are sensitive to caffeine, in which case they definitely have a decaf option as well. If you want to share your tabletop stories with us, please remember to share them on a video of the correct topic. And if you're not sure, you'll likely find the right topic on the new Mr. Ripper subreddit, r/Mr. Ripper. Thank you again for watching, you delectable little buttery snack you. Please sub for Nat 20s. Don't forget to treat yourself with the kindness that you wish to receive, and others will follow your lead. I love you, and I will see you next time.